Shalom. First and foremost, we give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakar Chodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. They continually rule very, very well. It's continually doing this work for years and years on end, man. Double honors to them. Shalom to the hopefully elect that's also doing the same things in faith, truth, and sincerity, and giving all diligence. Now, the topic of this video is going to be entitled "The Lord Referenced the Old Testament." You know, and this is another jab. You know, I'm jabbing. You know, it's like this thing of ours is like boxing. You know, you got your jabs and you got your hooks, your uppercuts. All right, this is another jab to you so-called Christians, man. All right, to you, you grape juice drinkers, you plantation Christians, you wacky tacky, Bible thumpers. The Lord referenced the Old Testament. All right, the same one that you read about in the New Testament that you claim that He's coming to save everybody. He referenced the Old Testament, and I want to bring out an example of that concerning our prophecy, because these so-called Christians got a problem with prophecy, man. Even the ones that come up against us, you know, that's trying to downplay what we say, they got a problem with prophecy. All right, and see, this thing of ours is all about prophecy. All right, and they want to refute it and say that, you know, it's not gonna, you know, the things that are written before time not gonna happen. All right, and that it was abolished in the New Testament, not knowing that when the Lord was here in the time of Aslakia, I haven't phrased that. They don't understand that the Lord during that time, while those books were being written, the New Testament wasn't even finished yet. All right, they were in the midst of the New Testament. All right, they weren't sitting there saying, "Oh, well, this is what my disciple Matthew, this is what my disciple Luke wrote." All right, they weren't reading the New Testament during that time, and they were reading, they were referencing the Old Testament. All right, and they knew about the prophecies. Even the Lord knew about the prophecies. That's why he quoted from the Old Testament. All right. But see, once again, you got guys that have a problem with that. All right. More than likely, all in all, man, they have a problem with the Old Testament in general, man. Because when you hear, you know, sermons and, you know, when these so-called pastors speak, they barely go into the Old Testament. If there was any book that they will go to in the Old Testament, it would either be Psalms or Proverbs. Those are the only two books that they'll touch on. But as far as the prophets and the law, all right, they won't touch that. There's a reason why they won't touch that, man, because for one thing, they're lost, and another thing, they're paid off. All right, but you know, I don't want to deter too far from the topic. Once again, the Lord referenced the Old Testament. I'm about to show you one example. Okay. Now, the reason why I had that image there is because, you know, the planet Earth is because, according to the prophecy, right, Israel was scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right, because we transgressed the law, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father, right, and we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth because of that. All right, the Lord scattered us. But in the prophecy, right, like it says here in Isaiah, we were to be gathered again from the four corners of the earth. All right. Now, before I read Isaiah, I want to grab the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 31. All right. It says, let's see. Yeah, it's the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 30. It says, "And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, And they shall see the Son of Man coming within the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. All right. Now, we spoke about that. Now let's go into the elect. All right. Because that's another thing we have to touch up on. All right. I want to do a word search because I want to keep Isaiah 11 in the pocket. All right, it's Revelation chapter 7, and start at verse 3. It says, I'm start at verse 4. Salaki. And I heard a number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. All right, and then it goes down to all the tribes, and it speaks about 12,000 from each tribe. All right. And then if you keep reading down, it says verse 9, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. All right. And see, this verse right here, man, these so-called Christians like to bring this out and say, see, it's talking about the other nations, see? But no, man, it's talking about Israel that's going to come out of those nations. All right, because all Israel is not going to look like Israel. All right, it depends on the line of the father, the seed. All right. So that election that the Lord was talking about in the book of Matthew, what we just read earlier, about how he's going to send his angels with a great sound of trumpet, and it shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. That election is concerning the nation of Israel. All right, the 12 tribes. Okay, and he was referencing the book of Isaiah when he said that. All right, because the prophecies in the scriptures is pertaining to him, Yahweh Shai. All right, but just like back then when he was walking the earth, they didn't believe him. All right, they didn't believe that the prophecies in the scripture was talking about him, just like today. All right, because why? Because they believe in an image. That's the image of Cesare Borgia. All right, they think that the Lord is a so-called white man, which he's not. All right, they worship the image of Cesare Borgia, of the Borgia family. Okay, they worship a God that's not real. All right, they worship these so-called Christians that worship the God of this world, man. Really, Christianity is full of paganism, man, when you really get into the bare bones of its origins. All right, and that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for these peons out here, man, that Christianity was born from paganism, and which that's the truth. All right, and guess what? The truth hurts. All right, let's go back to the book of Isaiah chapter 11, and let's see, start at verse 12. I'm gonna get straight to verse 11. It's like I'm gonna get straight to the point. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. All right, so here it is. They're going to be gathered from the four corners of the earth, man. All right. Verse 12, it says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. Man, let me read this again. My goodness, man. It says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. The outcasts of Israel. Why is this saying the outcasts of Israel? Because Israel was cast out from the sight of the Lord. All right. That's what happened. And that happened. When did that happen? That happened during the time of 70 AD. All right. The Lord took us out of the land of Jerusalem. All right. Out of that area. And he scattered us, man. All right. And he labeled us as the outcasts of Israel, man. That's why we're known as outcasts, because he cast us out. All right. And it says, and it's like you. I'm in transit right now. It says, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. All right. So right there, man. Once again, it says, and gather together the dispersed, right? The dispersed. That's throughout the four corners of the earth. All right. He's going to gather together those it's like he's going to gather together the outcasts, which were dispersed, all right, to the four corners of the earth. All right. It's like, yeah, I got my words jumbled up. But that pretty much is the point, man. Let me grab another precept. Wow, what just happened? Okay, here we go. This Revelation chapter 19, and I'm starting at verse 10. It says, and I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. All right. Actually, I want to get to that actual precept. Let me see if I can get it. Revelation 19. Because I want to look at that word testimony. All right. It's like you. Let's get the word testimony. Martyria, right, which is in the Greek. It says testifying, the office committed to the prophets of testifying concerning future events, aka prophecy. All right. What one testifies, testimony, i.e., before a judge. All right. That's another way of saying that is whenever, roughly explain it, it's like making a plea, before a judge. All right. So you're pleading the cause. All right. And what's that cause? The main cause that we're pleading right now is that Israel is to be brought back to the land of Israel, the nation of Israel. All right. It's to be brought back together into the land of Israel and to rule alongside Yahushai, who these people in the call Jesus. All right. That's one of the causes that we plead. All right. Also, too, if you go down, this definition right here, it says witness, testimony, record, or report. All right. It says from G3144, it says evidence given record, report, testimony, witness. All right. So that, primes me to think of a precept, which is in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, which speaks about faith. All right. Which faith, if you read it, says faith is the evidence of things not seen. All right. So let's go back to it. Now we got the definition of the word testimony. It says, and I fell at his feet to worship him. Reading it again. It said, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. All right. So that's why Yahushai knew already what he needed to do, because he knew about the prophecy. That's why he told John when he was about to be baptized, and John didn't want to baptize him at first, because he told him, said, look, Lord, I'd rather that you baptize me. Let me see if I can get that account real quick. Let's see. Yeah, this book of Matthew chapter 3 and start at verse 3. It says, for this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, which is Isaiah, saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. And you know what? That same individual, even after the time of his death, he did it again. All right, because you got this clown Vocab Malone laughing at the fact that we told him that it was through the Spirit, all right, that guided the one we know as Abba Bivens to start the ministry. So he paved the way for Yahushua, man. He said, the voice of the one crying in the wilderness. All right, because this place known as America, which is Babylon the Great in the scriptures, is known as the wilderness. All right, so that same voice that cried in the wilderness, he did it again. All right, it says, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. Verse 4, reading on, it said, and the same John had his raiment of camel's hair, and the leathern girdle about his loins, and his meat was locusts and wild honey. All right, and let me continue down. Let's see, verse 13, it says, then cometh Yahushai from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. But John forbade him, saying, I have need to be baptized of thee, and comest thou to me? All right, he's saying, look, I don't want to baptize you. I'd rather that you baptize me. All right, I have need that you baptize me. All right, and you coming to me to be baptized? And this is what Yahushua said. Verse 15 said, Yahushua answering said unto him, suffer it to be so now, for thus it becometh us to fulfill our righteousness. Then he suffered him. All right. Why is that? Because it's prophecy, man. All right. He says, suffer it to be so now. All right. Because Yahushua is meant to be baptized by John. All right. For prophecy's sake. Said, for thus it becometh us to fulfill our righteousness. Then he suffered him, and Yahushua, when he was baptized, went up straightway out of the water, and lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of the Most High descending like a dove and lighting upon him, and lo, a voice from heaven saying, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. All right. So there it is, man. All right. And this is only one of many examples of Yahushua falling right in line with prophecy. All right. So once again, going back to Revelation chapter 19, where it speaks about Yahushua being the spirit of Yahushua, or should I say, Slaki, the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. All right. Yahushua is falling right along with prophecy, and we're following along right in prophecy. All right. But you so-called Christians got a problem with that. All right. Since you want to call yourself Christians, right, which you're really not, because the word Christian means for the anointed, which you're not for the anointed. All right. You're not for the anointed, which is Yahweh Shai. So you can take that title, off yourselves, because you're not Christians. All right. The true Christians are the ones that are following after Yahweh Shai, who is anointed in spirit and in truth. All right. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I had it up earlier, but I lost it. But I'm gonna bring out this last precept, verse John chapter 4. Let's see. Yep. John chapter 4 and verse 22. It says, "Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews." All right. Once again, Yahushua knew what the prophecy said. All right. Why is that? Because he knew what was written in the Old Testament. Okay. Verse 23. "But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him." All right. And you guys are not worshiping the Father, man. And y'all not even worshiping the anointed, the one that was sent by the Father. All right. So you're not worshiping him in spirit and in truth, because for one thing, you're not called to be in this thing, man. All right. For obvious reasons. All right. So with that pretty much wraps up the video. Lord willing, Yakin was edified with this video. I try to stay on topic as much as I can, but it's all through the spirit. Once again, Lord, Adawan Arataza, all right, or Adawan Arataza, Salakia, that you Akin was edified with this lesson. And once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Chodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that are still continually ruling very well. And peace and safety to the hopeful elect that's continually laboring in this truth, that's giving all diligence and all faith, truth, sincerity. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.